Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Sorry, my phone was about to die. Anyway, so today we're gonna be, I know this is very late, but today we're gonna be doing my ranking of all the new releases that came out in June of 2022. With that, so let's go ahead and get started with this ranking. Now, this is actually a pretty good film. To be clear, none of these films on this list is honestly bad. I just put this one at the bottom of the list because something had to be last. But at the same time, this is not exactly my type of film. On the positives, I guess you could say, is that it does tell like a pretty cool story about these people and what they go through and stuff. And I guess that's kind of cool. However, the problem here is that this isn't something is this something I would go to and rewatch all the time? Probably not. Is this sort of the genre I go to a lot? Not really. But overall, it's an okay movie, but kind of, I'm not used to seeing stuff like this. Now, this is a movie that I think was pretty good. It had a pretty cool story. Pretty cool idea, cool premise. I think just they just kind of make this whole premise of this prison as a paradise, except it's basically pain. It's kind of funny with some of the sex scenes that are in it. Kind of cool with the technology that they use, but just kind of does a lot of wrong. And then also, Chris Hemsworth's American accent is absolutely terrible, so it easily comes down towards the bottom. Alright, now this is actually another pretty good little film from Netflix that came out like the first week, and I thought it was pretty good. You know, it had some pretty cool action. The story of like this whole apocalypse thing happening, the end of the world type situation, it was pretty cool. The fact that they actually brought the girl from one of the Fast and Furious movies, I thought was pretty cool. But overall, it didn't do anything special. The guy that was in it, like, he literally would do anything to get this door open, and I'm like, bro, it's just a door, leave it alone. So, I thought that was, like, the weirdest part of the movie. But overall, I think the movie's pretty good, but it's not special or anything like that. Now, this is actually a pretty cool little Adam Sandler film that I think is pretty cool. It does kind of do the Rocky format, as he's kind of looking for someone to play in the NBA. It's fun with that. The humor in it, especially in that scene on that bus, I thought was pretty funny. And it is kind of inspirational in ways. And of course, you know, the cast and the relationships and everything I think worked. And so yeah, it made for a pretty cool little Adam Sandler comedy, sports drama that I thought was pretty good. Wasn't the best film of the year, but I still did enjoy it though. Now, this is probably one of the funnest movies of the entire summer, as this is basically the Fast and Furious film of 2022. Obviously, except it's with dinosaurs. And I think that this film, now to be clear, I think the movie has a lot of problems. Looking back on it, there's tons and tons of nitpicks. As the movie, because Fallen Kingdom set us up to have this big gigantic story of us setting up dinosaurs in the real world, and how would we deal with that and how exactly would we be bringing back the original Jurassic Park characters to deal with this with us? And obviously it's just corporeal espionage, and it has to do with all these bugs and dinosaurs in, little places, and I guess it was fine in the way they did that. There are some great action sequences and chase sequences in here that I absolutely loved. There are issues with it. There's just a lot, but it's definitely not the thing I wanted it to be. But overall, it was kind of mixed for me. But I still actually did enjoy this film quite a good bit. And if it comes out on a streaming service or something, I probably will go back and rewatch it. Now, this is also a pretty fun, but also stupid film, as this is basically, as you just get to see Beavis and Butthead do their things, as they basically are just these kids that are just very crisp, and all that stuff, as they just wanna, they wanna have a score with a girl, and it's just hilarious in everything they do. There's multiple scenes in the movie that, like, the things that they're doing to the spaceship parts is just absolutely hilarious, and the fact that they're doing it for like multiple hours and days is just hilarious. And then the girl's like, how would you like to do that in space with me? I'm like, oh my gosh. And the girl doesn't even know until the end of the movie, and I'm like, this is so weird. And I'm like, this is crazy. And I mean, it was there's parts of it that are fun, but it's just mostly stupid, and I guess that kind of brings me out of the movie a little bit, but overall, it's still a pretty good film. And this was also a very dumb, fun, and pretty surprising film all in one. As basically, from the title and the poster with Woody Harrelson, I thought this was going to be like a Western starring Woody Harrelson. But I guess that's what I get for when I'm not watching trailers. But this film is basically an action movie starring Kevin Hart and Woody Harrelson. And at first I was like, how is this going to work? Because Woody Harrelson seems like the bad guy in this movie, but then he turns out to be one of the heroes. And then I'm like, this is amazing, as there's multiple sequences where Kevin Hart gets hurt and he's just completely fine afterwards. He just walks it off, or like someone throws him off a big ledge and he's completely fine, or he gets blown up and he's completely fine. And I'm like, this is insane. And even with Woody Harrelson's character, he's like 50 years old, and like even when Kevin Hart broke his hand, he even is still going. Like, this just goes crazy, as certain characters should not be doing all this stuff. But at the same time, like, the action, it's still amazing. Especially when they get into that gym boxing scene. I thought that scene was really great, as they're like throwing barbells and benches at people. It's like, this is amazing, an amazing action sequence that I never thought we would get in a movie ever. So I loved that they did with this movie. But at the same time, it's still dumb, pretty stupid. The story itself with the man from this place, the man from this place, it does a lot. But at the same time, I'm not gonna deny that it's very fun. Now, this was a movie that I thought was actually pretty good. It told a good story, as this family as this two couple that wants a divorce, but as they're trying to tell the family, they realize that they're gonna have to go to their daughter's wedding first and keep it up until the wedding. And it creates this conflict that I thought was pretty interesting, as like you start to learn the relationship between this daughter and this dad, and it just creates a very cool conflict between all these people. And even the cast I thought was pretty good. They all played their parts to perfection. And I guess we could say there are some nice humor in it. To be clear, this is a movie that is perfect for my dad to watch because it's all Hispanic people. Not saying that's like bad or anything, but that like it's fit for something like it's fit for something he would like because it's like all his people. So the plot lines that are in the movie he would basically understand, and what they're trying to say and stuff, and he would actually like it. He would actually find it more funny than most people. But overall, I thought the movie was pretty good. Not the best movie, but it was still pretty good. Now, this is actually the last movie I saw in June of 2022, as basically, it's just a fun, it's just a real, no, not a fun, it's a really well-told story about these two basketball players that's based off a true story that I never thought, I honestly thought it was just going to be a very serious drama about people playing basketball, and I thought the way they did it was really well done, and the story with all these people was really good. The fact that they're trying to get jobs and all that, it was all well done. There's not really much I can really say about this movie. There's not really any particular problems. It's not one that I really want to go back to and rewatch. Alright, so this is actually the first new release from Paramount Plus that I actually have ever watched. And I actually really enjoyed the film. I just thought that Bryan Cranston and his wife in the film, I thought both of them had great chemistry together as they're just trying to win the lottery. The humor in it works. The conflict between all this story I thought was really good. So overall, it was pretty much just a really good little love story between Bryan Cranston and his wife in this film. And I just thought it was a pretty well told love story. Now, this is the documentary with Jennifer Lopez as she tells her story, tells her main story, but also tells how she did what she was doing during the halftime show. I thought this was a pretty cool story, and most of these documentaries that they talk about like celebrities and stuff, most of them are interesting, but at the same time, it feels mostly of them just feel the same as they made a big impact on the world and all that stuff, and it's like, I get it, but it's like you say the same thing for almost every celebrity there is. But at the same time, I'm not saying that this documentary is not bad. It is good. It's pretty good, but it just feels like it's just doing the same things that you've been doing for multiple times with these other documentaries about celebrities. But at the same time, I still thought it was a pretty good documentary that told the story of Jennifer Lopez. Now, this is a movie that I thought was probably one of the most surprising films, as it's the first June movie I saw, and it's also a pretty better sequel than the original film. I thought with this film, because when I first heard about it, and I was like, wait, they're not bringing that kid from the original film back? I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you making a new story? And for me, this film deals a lot with the conflict of life is an adventure, but the problem here is that Stargirl has a conflict where she can't really enjoy her life, as she struggles with moving everywhere. She wants to meet new people. She wants to get to know them. But it's like the mom quits her job and she keeps going everywhere, and it's like it's a big conflict for her. Once again, there is still some things with the acting shows and making the movies. So I thought all that conflict worked. And even the new characters I thought were pretty good. Even the old woman that was an old singer, I thought worked well. So I just thought it was a better sequel to the original film. Now for me, this was one of my most anticipated films of all of the whole summer of June, mainly because I am a huge Buzz Lightyear fan, and I absolutely love all 4 Toy Story films, even Toy Story 4. Yes, I said it right there, I love Toy Story 4. And for me, ever since they announced this movie, I was like, yes, we're getting a Buzz Lightyear movie in the 21st century. How is this going to be? And granted, as it's my number 1 film on this list, the best parts about this movie are, of course, Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear. There are similarities to him as him and Captain America. But the Buzz Lightyear character himself is there still. Socks, I thought was a great side character. I thought he was the standout of the entire film. All the little Space Ranger rookies with Izzy, Darby, and the guy that was played by Taika Waititi, which I actually don't know his name. I thought all of them were pretty fun to be with. Even the animation I thought was great. The homage to a bunch of these space sci-fi adventure films I thought was great. The moments, the Buzz Lightyear moments, whether he gets the laser from the thing, or when he ejects himself from the seat and Zurg's about to kill him and he's like, prepare to die, and then he ejects himself from the seat, wings come out, and then he's like, not today, Zurg, and then blasts him and blasts the crystal and blows Zurg up. Those moments had me crying, well, not crying, but they had me clapping, cheering. All the Toy Story references in this film were absolutely amazing, and when they get the new suits at the end, I was like, yeah! Even when Socks got his own little suit, I was cheering for him as well. It's a little bit of a crowd pleaser because we've been fans for this franchise for so long. However, there are a couple of issues with this film. Most people have been saying that this film feels like the sequel to the first movie of Buzz Lightyear, as he's a lot older and stuff. That makes a lot of sense. But the biggest issue here is that this doesn't feel like a Buzz Lightyear movie, really. Of course, he has the suit, he has the helmet, he has the wrist communicator, he has the buttons, but it's like, he doesn't get the laser until he gets to the weapons unit, and he doesn't get the wings until he ejects himself out of the seat. And all that doesn't come together until he makes new Space Ranger suits. And I'm like, so the toy is based off of the new suit that he gets at the end, and we never saw that. So they gotta make a sequel to this movie. I'm pretty sure they have to make a sequel to this movie because there's a lot of stuff you can really do. Next thing, I was not the biggest fan of the villain with Zurg, because I feel like even though the joke in Toy Story 2 is based off of Star Wars 2, of Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, I still feel like you could have made a plot line with Zurg being Buzz's father. Instead, they just made him as future Buzz Lightyear. And I mean, it was kind of cool, the journey that he went on and stuff, but they didn't really do it very well. And he's not exactly evil Emperor Zurg, he's just Zurg, honestly, because the robots kept calling him Zurg. So overall, I hope they make a sequel with the new suits and the official evil Emperor Zurg, because I need more of Buzz Lightyear. I need to see the full Buzz Lightyear in animation form, in 21st century form. And that's pretty much it for this list. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the About section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.